All right. So every homeless person has that one friend or acquaintance that's just completely clueless. They probably mean well, but that's actually what this story is about. Now, instead of the specific people involved in this scenario, especially since so many people are actually homeless that would be able to identify with this scenario, we'll just put you in that situation. All right. Let's say you're homeless. All right. So you know what's up. You already know that the cops are not your friend. That's just how it is when you're homeless, and you have to just get over it. One of them things. But you know that most of the restaurants aren't going to accept you there. You already know that half the places they're probably going to call the cops if they see you even in front of their store. Not because it's you, but because you have a backpack. You look like a homeless person. You're unsightly. People don't want that outside of their business. Well, they don't want it in their business either. So you got that one friend who wants to take you out to eat. They happen to walk into you on the street, say, "All right, well let's go to this place down here. They got pho." Although it was actually a burger joint in the real situation, but we'll say pho because Veronica Randall always wanted to take me out for pho, and it just never happened. So we'll say, for the sake of argument, you run into this person that you know, and they want you to go into the pho place. You're like, well, you know, I'm homeless. I don't really feel comfortable going in there, especially since I have my backpack. You know, they're probably going to tell me I have to leave it outside if they'll let me in there anyway. And I just don't want to have any of that kind of problems, you know? Oh, no, dude, it'll be fine. Dude, it's okay. It's okay, dude. Come on in. You're with me. You're with me. I hate those words. The words, you're with me. And here's why. All right. So, yeah, start going through the door. They go in first and they get a pleasant greeting. But then the greeter looks at you. No, you can't come in here. You can't come in. We don't allow backpacks in here. So now I have to leave my backpack outside, right? No, you can't leave it there, sir. You can't just leave it there. You can't just abandon your stuff outside of our building while you get something to eat. All right. In that case, I guess I have to leave. And that's where your friend says, "Oh, I'm sorry, dude. I tried. I tried." Yeah, and we could have avoided this situation altogether if you'd have just listened to me. But you didn't want to listen to me. But now we have some firsthand experience, both of us. There's a hello, Pam. Pam comments here sometimes. She's a pretty nice lady. Um, when I was walking from Bozeman, Montana to Boulder, Colorado, this is over a decade ago, by the way. Um, I had to make a short stop. I stopped in a place called Alliance, Nebraska. Now, a police officer came and he picked me up. He told me, "You know what? I normally just tell y'all where the services are, and this time I'm just sick of telling y'all where the services are and still seeing y'all out here a week later." Meanwhile, I've been here like maybe an hour. I literally just sat down my backpack to sit on, and I'm having a little bit of bottled water. It's about half a bottle of bottled water left, and it was, it's water. I was glad to have it. So this officer has decided that he's sick of travelers and their excuses and them sitting on the side of the road for a week. So he drives me around all these services. about 4.5 hours worth of driving around, going from church to church to church, to all these different places where this officer has been telling all these travelers to go. You need to go here, you need to go there. Have you tried this place? Have you tried that place? For years, this officer has been telling these homeless people and these travelers these same exact things. Go here, go here, go here, go here. So after spending 4.5 hours cruising around with me in his cruiser vehicle, taking me around all these services and realizing there's no services. He's telling people to go to services that don't exist. He dropped me off back on the side of the road. He gave me some water, told me he was sorry. Not all cops are like that. And for a very long time, obviously, he wasn't like that. Obviously, running into me was a very it was a very culture rich experience. Just because you're telling somebody to do something doesn't mean that it's going to work. A lot of you guys told me to call up services, and I've recorded the phone calls with these services. They don't do what it is that you say that they do. None of them do the things that you say that they do. But you want me to continually call these places. You want me to expend my resources in going to those people, whereas I need my resources for court. I need my resources to go after these bad officers. I need my resources to make sure that the volunteers go to prison, because I do have enough evidence to prove that they did this shit intentionally. Before Natalie's death, I can understand how Natalie got shit wrong. I mean, that's how I saw all this coming. Like, with her family the way that they are, with the experiences that she's had, she is not going to understand this. And sure enough, she didn't. But I did. And she didn't understand that because she was afraid that I would do things, that people were actually doing those things to me. And although I never threatened to do any of those things to her, I did have to deal with people threatening to do those things to me. Now, why is this? Because Natalie was addicted to heroin. She comes from a long line of drug addicts. Meanwhile, you guys always fall back on the same bias and hatred that you do when you hate black people. When you hate black people, you make all them jokes about welfare checks now, don't you? Because you're a racist asshole. But it's illegal, and society frowns upon you being a racist asshole. So you have to stuff that in the closet and hide it. But you don't have to do that when it comes to the homeless. When it comes to the homeless, you don't have to be a closet racist. You can hate them openly. Anybody of any color can hate the homeless openly, and it's fine. You can be from Puerto Rico. You can be from Canada. You can be from Arkansas. You could be from Alaska. You could be from Cuba. You could be from Czechoslovakia, which is actually two different countries now, possibly three. Are you kind of seeing my point here? Yes, I've seen Russian people victimize homeless people in Boulder, Colorado. Boulder is a very multicultural community. Now, a lot of you guys, you want to call Boulder liberal. Oh, no. Boulder is not liberal. If I was to take all of the nastiest, filthiest, grossest parts of liberal bias, that's Boulder. That is Boulder in a nutshell. You take all them bias and you stuff them together. That's what you get in Boulder. You get a bunch of rich people having their names put up on stuff and calling it liberal. No, that's self-serving, you moron. Especially when you complain about every homeless person that walks by your house. I had more than a few black people who give me the whole, you don't know what it's like. You don't know what it's like walking through a neighborhood and having people call the cops on you just because they don't like you, just because they hate you. It's not that they hate you, they're scared of you. And yes, they might hate you, but that hate also comes from their fears. Sometimes those fears are projected for them. Like here in Chapel, Nebraska, lots of people taught their kids that it's blacks and Mexicans' fault that everything bad happens in America. And then what do we get? We get a bunch of ignorant kids running around believing that it's all blacks and Mexicans' fault. And anytime anything bad happens, they're going to go blaming blacks and Mexicans. There are no blacks and Mexicans in this town. There's not. But they still do it. That's culture shock for me. Going from being in the system with a bunch of minorities to holy fuck, I'm in whitey white crackerville. I'm in racist redneckville with a bunch of racists, but there's nobody here to be racist against. Well, that's where it all comes down. You just call people lazy. I mean, what do you hear racist people saying about black folks when they want to make excuses for their crimes against those black folks? Well, they're all lazy. They're all collecting a check. They're all on welfare. You hear that same shit about the homeless. And then there's the get a job, get a job. Shit, you got no idea how many times I heard get a job when I had a job. Get a job, you filthy, nasty son of a. Woohoo! Thank you very much. I just got done in the warehouse out at Stone Lighting. By the way, I worked there 8 hours a day, and it was 2 hours of travel each way. So that actually ended up being a 12-hour day, all said and done. But I still went to work every day until I hurt my back. Every single day. Well, not literally every day. There were days they wouldn't let you come in. They didn't want you getting overtime. A lot of companies are like that now. The thing is that if they can call you mentally ill, especially if the cops have done something fucked up, you do have to have someone go in with you. Or they get to do things like they've done to me. And I've seen them do these things to others. A lot of those other people are afraid to come forward. A lot of those other people are telling me stuff like, oh, dude, I just want to move on with my life. That's great. It really is. I'm glad that you get to move on with your life. I don't. I literally had to break the law because doing what it is that I'm supposed to do by law in order to get the help that I need is all cut off from me over and over and over and over again. There is some regional bullshit excuse why they can't do their jobs, why they can't investigate those crimes. Jurisdiction, 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 jurisdiction. Meanwhile, the courts have shown and the police have shown that jurisdictional bullshit is bullshit. Because all of the things that they told me that they couldn't do for me for months and months and months and months, they sure as shit did those things for the Bollingers, now didn't they? After telling me over and over and over again that they couldn't, they did those things for the Bollingers. And albeit the circumstances were slightly different, being as I was actually being victimized and they were just playing victim. But that was just something that worked out in their favor now, isn't it? Doesn't it just work out to the Bollingers' favor that so many cops screwed up and are busy covering their own asses? Isn't it to the cops' benefit that the Bollingers fucked up so incredibly much and did so much to prevent me from being able to speak and show the truth? Mutual benefit. These people weren't committing crimes in a lot of these cases to cover everybody. They were committing these crimes specifically to cover their own asses. And it just happened to help other people. Fucking predators.